Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome to Islamic Explanation, a place where we together increase knowledge, strengthen faith, and draw closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. In this channel, we will discuss various Islamic topics ranging from studies, inspirational stories, motivation to migrate, and stories of converts to tips for living according to Islamic guidance. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and activate the notification bell so you don't miss our latest videos. Hopefully what is conveyed will be a charity and benefit us all. He is known as one of the most successful actors in the world. With a charming smile, incredible talent, and millions of fans from all over the world, Will Smith has carved a name for himself in Hollywood history. But who would have thought that behind the bright lights of the entertainment world, there is a deep, silent search. A search for the meaning of life, peace, and ultimate truth. Today, you will hear a story that not many people know. The story of Will Smith and how he eventually found Islam. Born in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, on September 25, 1968, Willard Carroll Smith Jr. grew up in a middle-class family. From a young age, he showed talent in music and acting. From a young rapper on The Fresh Prince to starring in a legendary TV series, Will Smith skyrocketed to the top of the world. Film after film, Independence Day, Men in Black, The Pursuit of Happiness made him a global icon. But behind that success, there was an emptiness that fame, money, or awards couldn't fill. At the peak of his career, Will began to feel like something was missing. He had everything, but he still felt restless. His relationship with his family was sometimes strained, and he began to question, what is the purpose of my life? Why am I here? Will began to read many spiritual books. He explored Buddhist teachings, Eastern philosophy, even Kabbalah, but none of them really answered his inner restlessness. The turning point occurred when Will was filming the film Ali, 2001, a biography of legendary boxer Muhammad Ali. To understand the role, he had to learn about Ali's life, including his beliefs as a Muslim. Will met many Muslim figures, learned to read the Quran, understand prayer, and Islamic values. He was amazed. Will once told Oprah Winfrey, "Islam teaches discipline, calmness, and love for others. I have never felt this close to God before." After the film Ali, Will did not immediately embrace Islam, but the seeds of faith had been planted. He began to change his lifestyle. He was more careful in choosing roles, began to get closer to his family, and deepened his spiritual values. In an interview, Will said that Islam gave him a new perspective on life. He began to give alms diligently and was more concerned with social issues. Ramadan 2024 was an important moment. Will fasted for the first time, accompanied by several Muslim friends. He felt more peaceful, more focused, and more connected to his God. And on a quiet night, after Tarawih prayers at a mosque in Los Angeles, Will recited the two sentences of the Shahada. Tears flowed from his eyes. He knew this was not the end, but the beginning of a new life. Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah wa ashhadu anna Muhammadan Rasulullah. Will did not announce it to the public in a big way. He chose to live his Islam quietly. But those closest to him knew he had changed. More patient, more humble, and more sincere. Now he is an inspiration, not because of his Hollywood success, but because of his courage to seek the truth and find it. Will Smith's story teaches us that guidance can come to anyone, no matter how high our status is or how far we have gone astray. Allah knows the hearts of his servants. Imagine you have everything: wealth, fame, awards, and the love of millions of fans around the world. But you still feel like something is missing. That's what happened to a man whose name has been written in the history of world cinema. Will Smith, from a Philadelphia teenager with high aspirations to becoming a global icon in Hollywood. But deep inside, there was a never-ending search, the search for true peace, which eventually led him to Islam. Today, we will trace the long journey of Will Smith, a story of inner restlessness, the search for the meaning of life, and the touching moment when he finally found the light of Islam. Willard Carroll Smith Jr. was born on September 25, 1968 in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. He grew up in a middle-class family with a strict father and a religious mother. Since childhood, Will had two things that stood out: charisma and intelligence. He could make anyone laugh, and his intelligence even got him a scholarship to MIT, but he turned it down. He only wanted one thing: to be on stage. And that's what happened. Together with his best friend DJ Jazzy Jeff, he became a successful young rapper. And from there, his career took off. Over time, Will Smith went from rapper to TV star to the biggest Hollywood actor of his generation. From Independence Day to Men in Black to The Pursuit of Happiness, he wowed the world. He won awards after awards. His net worth reached hundreds of millions of dollars. But behind it all, something haunted him. In an interview, Will once said, "I have everything, but why do I still feel empty?" His nights were often filled with restlessness. He began to wonder, is it all about money and fame? What is my purpose in life? Questions that never got answers. Until one day, fate brought him together with Islam. In 2001, Will was cast as Muhammad Ali in the legendary biopic. But to play Ali, he had to really understand his life, including Islam. Over the months, Will learned to read the Quran, talked to Muslim scholars, attended Friday prayers at the mosque, observed how Muslims live their lives, and here, Will's heart began to be touched. He was captivated by the simplicity of Islam, the way it emphasized discipline, peace, and a direct relationship with God. One day while filming, a Muslim friend asked him, "Will, you have everything, but do you have a close relationship with God?" The question struck a chord in his heart. He began to read more about Islam, about how faith can bring true peace, and slowly, the seed of Islam began to grow in his soul. After the film Ali, Will didn't immediately convert to Islam, but something inside him changed. He began to find meaning in worship, fast during Ramadan, cut back on the glamorous Hollywood lifestyle, get closer to his family. On one of his trips to Dubai, he felt something extraordinary. In an interview, he said, "When I was there, I felt at peace, like I found something I was looking for." That was the moment when he truly felt close to Islam. In 2024, in the month of Ramadan, everything changed. Will Smith decided to fast for the first time. Day by day, he felt more and more at peace. And finally, one night after Taraweeh, Will sat in a small mosque in Los Angeles. His heart was shaking. He knew this was the moment. With full conviction, he said, "Ashhadu Allah ilaha illallah wa ashhadu anna Muhammadan Rasulullah." Tears fell from his eyes. He knew this was not the end, but the beginning of his new journey as a Muslim. Now, Will Smith lives Islam with peace. He is more careful in choosing roles. He gives more charity. And most importantly, he found the true peace he had been looking for. Will's transformation certainly did not come without challenges. The decision to embrace Islam was not easy, especially for someone who lives under the spotlight of the world's media. How did his family react? Jada Pinkett Smith, his wife, is someone who has always supported Will's spiritual journey. Despite their different beliefs, Jada respects Will's choice. She sees positive changes in her husband, calmer, more patient, and closer to their children. Their children, Jaden and Willow, also grew up in an environment that is open to various spiritual views. For them, their father's conversion to Islam is part of their family's long journey in finding the meaning of life. Will's close friends who come from various religious backgrounds also provide support. They see how Will increasingly finds the peace he has been looking for. However, this spiritual journey is not free from public skepticism. Will has to face mixed public opinion. Some support him, but not a few question his decision. In the midst of the glamorous Hollywood industry, Will chooses to be more selective in his work. He began to avoid roles that conflict with the values he now holds. In a private interview, Will said, "I realized that life is too short to spend it chasing worldly things. Islam gave me a framework to be a better person, for my family, myself, and for God." Will also began to be active in social activities, working with Muslim communities to help those in need, both in America and other countries affected by conflict. Over time, Will's transformation became more apparent. His routine was now filled with worship, self-reflection, and charity work. He began performing the 5 daily prayers, studied the Quran more deeply with teachers he trusted, and even went on an Umrah pilgrimage that became one of the most memorable experiences of his life. While in the Holy Land, Will expressed how he felt like he had come home. Here I felt like I was part of something bigger. Everyone came from all over the world with the same goal, seeking God's pleasure. The trip strengthened his belief that he was on the right path. Will continued to work, but with a clearer vision. He wants to use his platform to spread positive messages about peace, tolerance, and the importance of spirituality in an increasingly materialistic world. In a speech, he delivered a heart-rending message. "In a world full of noise, I finally found silence, and in that silence, I found God." Will also tries to straighten out the negative stigma about Islam in the public eye. For him, Islam is a religion of peace that teaches love for fellow human beings, regardless of background. Will Smith's story is an inspiration to many people, especially those who are searching for their identity. His journey shows that guidance can come through various paths, even through professions, meetings, or events that may seem ordinary. Not a few of his fans have become interested in studying Islam after seeing the positive changes in him. Will also always reminds that everyone has their own time to find the truth. Will Smith's journey from the glitz of Hollywood to the light of guidance is proof that the human heart is always looking for peace. Behind the fame, wealth, and spotlight, he remains a servant who longs for true peace. And when that guidance comes, Will accepts it with humility. This story teaches us to never get tired of searching for the truth, because at the end of that search, there is always light waiting. May Will Smith's journey inspire us all to get closer to God, live a more meaningful life, and appreciate every step of change. Will Smith's story teaches us that guidance can come to anyone, no matter how high our status is or how far we have gone astray. Allah knows the hearts of all His servants. May this story inspire us all to continue searching for the truth and never get tired of knocking on the door of guidance. Friends of Islamic Explanation, hopefully this video is useful. See you in the next video. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.